Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Airsoft, where today I'm going to be unboxing and comparing these WARHEAD BASE Brushless Motors. Hey guys, and welcome back. If you do enjoy this content today, please do consider liking, commenting and subscribing, because those interactions help me get seen by the YouTube algorithms and help the channel grow. Please use the link tree link down below, because that will take you to all my socials, including my Discord, which is a great community. And channel memberships have also been activated, just 99 pence a month. If you would like to support the channel a little bit more, massively appreciated if you do. There's members only videos and bloopers and separate giveaways as well for those guys, and a separate chat area on the Discord. So welcome back. WARHEAD base motors. Now we all know, we've seen my previous video where I looked at the WARHEAD, what are now referred to as the WARHEAD black motors. So these are brushless motors, which are different internally to a typical airsoft motor. So these don't have brushes inside, and perform significantly more effectively than a traditional brushed motor, but they come at a significantly higher price. So these WARHEADs run for, at the time when I bought these, they were about £115 each. They've now come down to £112.95 as of the very end of November 2021, and that's direct from the WARHEAD website. I did actually buy mine specifically from Bullseye Country Sport, and the link is down below. So I have kept the high-speed motor out of the three I tested, and that sits in my RM47, and I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with it. They then announced that the base motors were coming out, so a cheaper version of the motors, and I was quite excited to see how they would perform and how good they were. So I've picked these up. So they retail at, directly from WARHEAD themselves, they retail at £86.50 each. I think I got them at £85 each pre-ordered. So I bought 3 out of the 4 models. So they do 4 models. They do 20k, 27k, 35k and 45k, and those are 1000 RPMs, all measured at 11.1, and that's to sort of compete, I suppose, as it were, with the brushed equivalent that we would typically go for. But obviously the costs are significantly lower. So at the minute you're looking at about £26, £26.45 saving over the black motors. So the main differences then, we'll open one up. I've just sort of sliced the ends open just to make it easier. So slide that open. So straight away, there's the pinion gear off the end. Let's have a look at the 2 motors. So this one is specifically the 35k, which is the one that's more or less in direct line with this high-speed motor, more or less. Not quite the same. So this one runs at 35,000 RPM at 11.1, whereas this high-speed one will be 25 to 36,000 RPM. So 25 is at the 7.4 volt lipo, and the 36 is at the 11.1. So typically what they're saying is that these are just not as higher quality components into them. So the main differences are, then initially you can tell the case straight away is different. The case on this, and I will admit there is a little bit of weight difference, these are all CNC'd aircraft grade aluminium cases on these, whereas these are cast aluminium, which is significantly cheaper than CNC and everything. Second of all, magnets, they've used lower quality, but not, that doesn't mean they're bad quality magnets. They just use a lower quality magnet, lower performance magnet, not bad quality, I apologise, magnet in these. So they're seeing about 15 to 20% less performance from these motors than the black ones. They've also got the winding around the magnets, the wire that's wound around the magnets. In these ones, they are hand wound by precision engineers, highly trained. It's really high cost, basically. On these, they're not as accurate. They are machine wound, basically. And then after that, they are absolutely identical. The base motors, and WARHEAD swear by it, still outperform, even with these base models, still massively outperform any brushed motor on the market by some margin, which is obviously what we're going to look at. So we've got the 35k model there. The reason I didn't get all 4 models is A, I just didn't have the money, and B, I just felt that you know, I might as well draw the comparisons for the 3 models that we had. That's the 27k, so that's the sort of bottom of the 3. Put those out of the way. Obviously the packaging is not quite as nice either, but it does mean that people have got a little bit more, I want to say budget friendly, but you know, they're still pricey for what they are as a motor. A little bit more easier way to get into having a brushless motor, and they will outperform a brushed motor. So we've got 27, 35 and 45k motors. So in terms of our testing then, we're going to do the same as before. I've got the 7.4 volt 2200 milliamp Crane-Stock lipo, and that is a 15C rated 30C burst rated lipo, and then I've got the 11.1 2600 milliamp 20C rated or 40C burst neutral lipo as well, exactly the same as last time. I'm going to use the exact same three guns as well. We're going to have the CYMA MP5K, the KWA RM47 and the KWA Recoil TK45. That way then we've got three different use cases in terms of like a normal spec aeg, a quite premium spec AR type in the RM47, and then you know a recoil high torque needing system in the recoil as well. So I'm going to be really interested to see how these go. So I'm going to look mostly at the rate of fire initially, and I'm hoping to use the blue link from Gate to look at the ampage, possibly, hopefully, and the milliseconds to complete motor spinovers. So the intended way to do it is 10 single shots to look at the millisecond turnover time for the motor on single shots, and possibly the ampage draw as well, and then doing 3 bursts as well to get a consistent reading for rate of fire. And then we'll have a look at how those match up with the 3 black models that we've had as well. They've also just announced another model as well, which is the Ronin model, which is black and red. I can't see anything other than maybe one model of it, so I will potentially get that in future as well. So I'm going to go and get the testing now, and I'll be back in a second with all the rundown of the features. And what I will do is I will leave all the footage of the shooting I film all at the end for you. When you are unboxing them, they are just like the black motors. On each of the motor contacts there is the little red ring and a little black ring that just need to be lifted off before you install them. So please don't forget that. I will link down to the original Warhead video, Warhead black video, to see that part. So disclosure from the outset, unfortunately this is not quite the full unboxing and review that I was hoping for. Unfortunately the CYMA MP5K just outrightly died. Disassembled it thinking it was the fuse, not the fuse. The fuse was absolutely fine. Wondered if it was the motor connections. Had it completely in pieces. The only thing I can assume is that there's some bad solder on the trigger block, but at the minute just wasn't able to resolve what the issue was, which is great considering I've not even unboxed the thing yet. I don't think it's anything to do with the motors. I think it's entirely to do with the soldering of the gun, and it's just given out basically. The TK45 also stopped working. The Titan is just completely dead. Absolutely nothing. It was playing up before the original Warhead motor video, and it's basically since just absolutely packed up. So I have got some stats for at least one motor for both of those guns, but unfortunately those two did die off. So any figures will be an estimation after the slowest speed motor. The RM will you know, press F to pay respects for those two guns. They've been good workhorses. I'm going to have to sort those out. But the RM47 was an absolute beast and managed everything. So the RM47 will have been tested with all 3 motors and both battery combinations. So what I've done is largely just put all of the data together from before onto one image, and I've faded out the old data so that you can see what the old numbers were from the Warhead blacks compared to the new ones, which are the base ones. So in terms of the MP5K cycle then, I didn't actually have any base data for the millisecond cycle for that, and at times I'm not sure how truthful these are, because there were some questionable readings at times, which you'll see as we go through. So the base, which was the only one that I managed to test with the MP5K before it just completely died, was 55 milliseconds for a single turn of the motor, compared to for 7.4 compared to 36.8 milliseconds for the 11.1, and that was on the 27K. Moving on to the RN then, so I've left in there highlighted the original KWA motor, and you can see instantly that the response times are better across the board. What I am questioning is why the response times are getting worse on the 7.4 as time's gone on. I'm not sure if that's the Titan that's at fault, if it's the Blue Link that's at fault, if it's a gate app that's at fault that's not interpreting the data properly. I'm just reporting it as it is, but I would have expected much lower, sort of, as you can see in the 11.1, the sort of milliseconds is quite stable between the 27 and 35K, but then drops quite considerably when we get to the 45K. You know, that millisecond turnover time is very, very snappy. So I'm not sure, I'm questioning the legitimacy of the 7.4 volt lipo on that one. Again, they all largely sit above the black motors, which we know and expect, and base themselves say that they will perform not as well as the black versions, the base ones. So that's that, and this was the only gun that got a full set of data for anything, but they're not a massive mile apart, those figures, are they really? You know, considering the sort of £25 worth of price difference, there's not an awful lot there that you would notice in terms of difference, but we'll look at the rounds per second as well in a second. And then lastly, for the motorcycle time then, we're looking at the TK45. So we've got there, it starts off with the SHS motor, 80 and 60 for the 7.4 and the 11.1. Largely, obviously, I only got through the base motor again, and then the gun just completely died. The Titan just stopped working altogether after this. But we got 63, which was oddly, again, questioning the original figures, it was less than the original milliseconds, and 52, which is almost in line for an 11.1 in terms of millisecond. It did definitely feel snappy when it was shooting, and don't forget all that shooting footage is at the end, so you can see lots of other stats as well that the Gate Titans produced. So moving on to the rate of fire then for the comparison, obviously we've got a bit more data here. So in terms of the base motor for the MP5, we got the 27K out there. So we got 12.6 compared to the standard was doing 13.7. So you're only losing about a round per second there. Same at the 11.1 lipo stage. You know, the standard was 21.7 and the base 27K turned out 21 RPS as well. So it's, you know, fairly in line really. A little bit of drop in performance. I would have expected those figures to sort of increment largely the same, so maybe around 16 RPS for the 35 at 7.4 volts, and probably about 27-ish rounds per second on the 35K at 11.1, and then same again with the 45K. I would have expected probably about 22 rounds, and depending on the mag feeding issues, probably about 24 rounds a second out of that. That's what I would expect based on those numbers just for the base motor, but pretty damn decent really. So moving on then to the RM47, we've got the original KWA motor there at the top. We're seeing sort of largely what happened last time really, that the 27K just sort of doesn't really cut it. You know, it's not producing the same kind of rates of fire that the KWA motor are producing, but when you get to the 35, this time we're still not quite there really, and it's not until the 45 that we actually start to get somewhere in terms of rate of fire, and we're picking out the sort of 19.9, and we've got 32.9 for 7.4 and 11.1 lipos. Obviously those are better than the SHS. The 35K one largely gives you the same as the KWA motor was giving me based on the original stats. The 45K is probably more where you want to be looking with that kind of thing, but it is an improvement at that level, and obviously that's the only gun that I got a full set of data out of. And then last but not least, the TK45 then. So we only got one rate of fire test out of the base motor, and we got 12.6 rounds per second, which obviously, same with the standard, it is below even the SHS motor that's in there. I would expect those figures to sort of go up more or less in line, so I would expect probably around
15 rounds a second maybe from the 35K, and probably about 20 rounds a second out of the 45K, which are definitely, you know, particularly at the 35, well, at the 45K, you sort of bottom into worth it. You know, at the 11.1 point, you're probably looking at around 34 rounds per second, which, you know, that's really, really quick. Again, we are seeing that there is a lower performance out of these motors overall. So, conclusion then, before I give you all the shooting footage, there is a price reduction, £25, and, you know, some of these stats on here, I'm questioning my Titan a little bit. I'm questioning the blue link that I've used to get those stats off and things like that. I'm not convinced that they are quite worth the £85. I was a lot more convinced of the Warhead Black because I felt that there was definitely a significant sort of improvement there. For £25 left, it is less than the black versions. It's definitely a much cheaper way to get into brushless motors, much cheaper way to get into brushless motors, and largely you will be happy with them. Particularly, I found that for me, my opinion is that the CYMA benefited the most out of those, or would have benefited the most out of those motors, I think, and would have run them the best. Whereas the KWAs are probably benefiting more from the black motors than anything. It is a real shame that I couldn't test them further with, obviously, the TK45 going down. I'm now going to have to find the money to replace that Titan, and the CYMA going down, which I'm now going to have to spend time troubleshooting that to find out exactly what's wrong with it. But I'm pretty sure it's soldering. There's some questionable looking soldering on the trigger block there. So other than that, I will leave you to make your own minds up on that. I'm not convinced one way or the other with the base editions. Definitely money to be saved and a good entry point. I'm just not sure if it's worth that £85, at least not in from the data I've got for the KWAs. From a CYMA, I would be much happier. If you're going to drop these in a typical aeg, then I would, you know, expect them to be much happier with these base motors, and you need not spend the high money. But this is still a hell of a lot of money for a motor. You know, keep that in mind, that this is a hell of a lot of money for a motor. You know, we're talking sort of £85 to £112. That is a lot of money for a motor for an airsoft gun. So if you are big into your upgrades, that, you know, and you've got the money, crack on. If not, you know, they do perform better than brush motors, like for like, which I can't argue with. But I think a lot of it's going to come down to the budget. If you've got the budget, great, go for it. If not, then, you know, probably stick to brush motors because they are significantly cheaper. I hope you found that useful today. Please do remember to like, comment and subscribe, because those interactions help me get seen by the YouTube algorithms and help the channel to grow. I will leave all the shooting footage after I finish talking. And other than that, thanks a lot, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.
2 round.